E aí galera, beleza? Eu tô aqui com meu amigo Jacob. Hoje a gente vai apresentar uma posição, triângulo de mão, eu acho que é...
I remember you told me, your dad told you one time, like, Ian, you can do anything with your life as long as you're a black belt first. So yeah, tell me what that was like, you know, like growing up with your dad being a black belt, having his own gym, and you know, like your earliest memories of sort of starting jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, I think my first memory with jiu-jitsu was actually going to the judo classes and my dad being around, because I started training judo at 4 before officially start with my dad. My dad is a judo black belt as well. And now the fights are quite different, but at the beginning, jiu-jitsu and judo, they were quite siblings. All the positions could be applied for both, so it's always nice for a kid learn how to fall and things. And judo is just perfect for kids. It's a system that was made primarily for kids. So the first jiu-jitsu memory actually that I have is related to judo. And I remember my dad going to see me, and because himself was a judo black belt, he was part of the class as well. And then later on, my second memory, when I was a little bit older, I would say 8 years old, I started to go to my dad's training to play around. I love when my students bring the kids to the mat. Actually, I truly believe a kid in the mat helps to behave, because if you have a kid around, you don't say bad words. We shouldn't say bad words in a mat in a way, but sometimes you slip off with a kid, you're always aware of that. So I think it's just beneficial to have kids in a mat, and I'm really glad my dad forced me to, because it wasn't an option. my dad actually turned to me once I was a bit older, I was getting a bit sick training jiu-jitsu all the time. Because I started being my dad's student at 11. So I stopped training judo and become only my dad's student at 11. So when I was around 16, you know what I mean, I couldn't go out on Friday because I had training on Saturday. I couldn't go out on Saturday because I was tired from the training early morning. And Sunday was my rest day, because Monday I had 2 sessions. So growing up, especially being a teenager, you want more time to do your things. And I turned to my dad and said, Dad, I don't think I want to train jiu-jitsu anymore. And he just turned to me and said, you can do whatever you want from your life as long as you become a black belt first. I say, okay, if that's the only condition, I'll get my black belt. But by the time I get my black belt, I realized, you know what, I think that's what I want to do. Because we actually really blessed. We work with most of people's hobby. I mean, actually I have this joke, I work when people are resting. Because on your off time, you come to jiu-jitsu, and that's my work. So I'm kind of blessed to have these as my
lifestyle.
I don't like to call work. It's actually my profession. I think work is something that you do for money. Profession is something that you do. Of course, it's related to money as well, but it's a bit deeper than actually just a job or work. You know, it's a profession, something that you put effort on that. You want to improve as a jiu-jitsu fighter. So have this view that it's my profession, not my work. Make it easier. Because I don't go to work, I go to improve myself every day.
Because you have brothers, right? So like, are you the oldest?
I'm the oldest. I have my youngest brother, Kim. He's now he's the first one on a brown belt, IBJJ. Forgot his weight now, but he's number 1 on the ranking. So he's doing pretty well. I have another young brother, Thor. He's a purple belt. And the other young one is Chrome, which is a gray belt. So it's actually not really an option. The same way your mom's forced you to go to school, our dad forced us to go to jiu-jitsu. So.
And so when you were like growing up and you were being the oldest, and so you would have been the first to receive your black belt, what was it like then having your brothers coming through and training with them?
And that's actually funny, because I have a feeling that I have my blood brothers, but I grow up with a lot of brothers as well, because the professor is always the symbol of the fatherhood. So you end up getting kids that not all the times the parents know how to talk with their own kids, and sometimes someone outside has better approach, especially if more related, let's say, someone really like to fight, and you find someone that really like to fight, and through fighting he's able to teach you how to get off your struggles in life, could be way more create way more connection with that. So I feel like I grew up with a lot of brothers in the mat. So I was actually the youngest.
Yeah.
Because for example, my dad has you know what I mean, a really successful gym in Brazil. We have some MMA fighters on UFC. The youngest adult world champion is my dad's student, Raniaha. We have Renato Moicano is on UFC now. Adriano Moraes is on ONE FC now, gonna fight soon. I hope he wins. Yeah, so I just grew up actually having such good reference. Yeah, so it's actually really easy to put yourself down because you see everyone's doing really well, but everyone does well but in different pace. And that's, I think, what Jiu-Jitsu shows you, because sometimes you can grow really fast in 5 years, but if you put the counting the 20 years, maybe the 5 years were too fast. So having those references actually put yourself a little bit more, you know what I mean? I think humble, because humble is not put yourself down, but know where you are.
Yeah.
And I knew there was a lot of guys that, you know what I mean, could win me easy.
Yeah.
So that was cool. And of course, once you get your black belt, you become more responsible to your act, as I was saying. Actually, on the day I get my black belt, I went to a party with my friends, and I was having a beer, something that I don't do often. But I was having a beer, and then everybody comes and says, "Oh, congrats for your black belt, congrats for your black belt," while I was holding my beer.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, that just doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? And then I realized the click, you know what I mean? Now I'm in the front of the line. You know what I mean? When you line up, you have the black belts, brown, purple. So all the way I was trying to go up, and now I'm up. So now you are the mirror. So you have to behave accordingly. But it was really easy when I said you grow up young and then you have just good memories of the mat. It's just laugh and fun. That's no actually a lot of weight on that. It's your house. You feel home.
Yeah.
I think that's the reason I never felt homesick in Australia, because I had Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah.
So it was my way to be close home.
Yeah, that's awesome. And like, because you got your black belt from your dad.
Yeah.
Do you remember what your dad said, like in his speech when he was?
Actually, I do.
Like,
he was like, yeah. My mom, she was never proved really the fact I want to become a fighter. She used to say I was too good to be a fighter. She said I was too kind to be a fighter. And she was at my black belt grading, and that itself was a big thing. And my dad turned to me, to everybody, and said, 21 years ago, because I got my black belt with 21, 20 years ago I had a dream to have a son. Now I fulfill another dream, is to grade my son black belt. And probably I saw my dad crying 5 times. Yeah. That was one of them.
Yeah.
So it was a nice memory for us.
Yeah, that's awesome. And like having your mum there, and like the whole, and your brothers would have been there as well.
Yes.
Like,
at the time there was only white, yellow belts.
Yeah.
But the picture is there. So it's nice to see how everyone's growing.
Yeah. And
getting new belts and just become better humans, to be honest.
Yeah. You stayed in Brazil until what age? Like
I moved to Australia as 25.
Yeah. So it was like another 4 years of training as a black belt at your dad's gym. So, and like, I mean, maybe you can talk a little bit about your dad's gym, because I think here in Australia is like, you know, Jiu-Jitsu is growing, and, you know, but it's still pretty rare to go to a gym that has a lot of black belts on the mat at the same time.
Yeah. So start considering that. My dad's master is a red belt. It's something really rare itself. So my dad's master was one of the red belts from Helio Gracie. So it's another super rare thing. So our lineage is so directly linked with the orange, one of the red belts graded by Helio, Mestre Armando. So training with a red belt, probably we had, my dad has more than 200 black belts. In a session, when I was a purple belt, my dad told me, you only train from brown belts and black belts from now. So since my purple belt, I've been training with black belts. It's good because they push you a lot, so you have to improve. So when I moved to Australia, I find that struggle because I didn't have much black belts to roll. But I learned how to reverse engineering, because it's really good when you have someone push you, but the true conscious process is when you teach yourself. And that's why Jiu-Jitsu is good, you know what I mean? Maybe you're not a good learner, but you just through repetition, you end up getting the move. It's gonna work, great, but if I ask you how you done, you probably don't know, doesn't matter, Jiu-Jitsu still works. But I think the true process of being a Jiu-Jitsuka, which is the Jiu-Jitsu practitioner, is to have a consciousness what you're doing all the time. And when I say all the time, it's like all the time. That's nothing that you do that is not conscious. Even through your body or through your mind, somehow it has a reason for what you're doing. You know what I mean? It works, but why it works. And that process was really beneficial for me because I could bring the concept back. Because if every position in Jiu-Jitsu you can relate to a different position, because the concepts are just a few. You have 2 arms, 2 legs, 1 head, and the body only move in a certain way. You can go, probably you know better than me how to move your body, but the body only move in a certain way. Yeah. So if you're able to, as I said, reverse engineer the position, you don't actually need someone to push you all the time. Yeah. Because you develop better learning process. Yeah. But once again, it's important you start young, because you don't learn, you acquire. To later on, you start to learn. Because the learning process between a white belt and a black belt, it varies depending of your age. You know what I mean? Like if you start as a white belt with 5 years old and you start with a white belt at 40, you know what I mean? I cannot do the same method of training. Yeah. I mean, I'm probably going to be way more deathless with an old person than with a young person. But that doesn't mean I'm not teaching both at the same way. I'm just calling more attention for the old person's conscience than for the young kid. You know, the young kid are going to touch and put her arm there. You know what I mean? To the old person, even because we went to school, we learned that's how we learn. I'm going to put your arm here and then you say why.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They're more like analytical, more...
Yeah, and actually it's self-doubt, honestly. Why? You know what I mean? And we learn how to self-doubt. And that's another reason Jiu-Jitsu is good. It's okay to self-doubt to find an answer. Not just to put yourself in a position that you're okay, oh, I don't know, so I don't have to do anything. You know what I mean? Man, how many times you be under a choke and you have time to think? You have time to think, you know what I mean? Or before it happens, maybe you're thinking, you're tapping, somehow the conscience is there. And more you've been through this process, more conscious, awake. So before the hand goes to the choke, we have a spider sense. We know what's going on here, yeah? Maybe not when we're young, but older you get, you create this sense, and once again, the conscience. And then you can bring that to life, because I think that's the reason we spend so much time here, rubbing our face in the mat, is to be able to deal with life. Yeah. Actually, yes. Yeah. I mean, understand how people treat you, how people touch you. I mean, the posture, someone maybe wanna take something from you, or someone you see he's a bit shy, you're able to bring him up again. Mestre Armando, my dad's master, he used to say, Jiu-Jitsu is the exercise of the balance and your reality. You have to be balanced all the time, and you cannot escape from your reality. You tall, you short, you fat, you skin, you skin. You know what I mean? Like, you can't escape from that. Just find the balance. It's okay to be tall in Jiu-Jitsu, as it's okay to be short. It's gonna work for everybody. As long as you have consciousness of your body, you're not trying to do something that are not related to you, yeah? And that goes a lot from your professor as well, be able to realize what you need in a sense to grow. Because I think that the job of the professor is just, and as in a school, is teach you how to read and write. If you like fiction, if you like romance, if you like oral stories, doesn't matter. You need to learn how to read and write. Yeah? What you're going to do with that later is actually
up to you.
Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm going to teach you Jiu-Jitsu. I'm going to teach you Jiu-Jitsu that will be able to look to a position and say, this position works because his elbow is positioned like that. If his elbow was outside, I would probably take some advantage of the position. And then when you transfer that to the row, you actually see everything running slow because your learning process gives you time to analyze everything. And it was funny you said about the language because it can misinterpret a little bit. Because choke will be block my air. So if you want to stop my artery, it won't be a choke, it will be a strangle.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and that's why important, especially for you keep learning Portuguese, because we never call choke, we call strangle.
Yeah.
But when you translate, you say choke.
Yeah.
But the word is important, man. If you say strangle, you're not going to try to choke me. You're going to try to reach the sweet spot of the vein and block the blood to flow, and then you get the choke.
Yeah.
Strangle.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, and so like it's like you can do that in so many ways, you know, like you can use an arm and a collar, you can use both of my arms, you know, you can
But that's only one way to strangle.
to cut the blood off on both sides.
The way you're gonna do that, and that's what I call reverse engineering.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For example, a position that you apply, I try to relate like this. Your arms are the same thing as your legs, one up, another one down. If we invert, the legs are up, the arms are down. It doesn't change how you play. The elbow has 9 degrees move, as same as your knee. Your shoulder has the same 360 moves as your hips. Your wrist, so your ankles. Ankle. So and those things, you try to simplify those things, make you understand Jiu-Jitsu better. For example, it's not a lasso guard a de la riva.
Yeah, I mean, it's the
But
same thing.
in the arms, but instead the arms I use the legs at de la riva. In the arms is the lasso. I mean, I have a good de la riva, but I have a poor lasso. It doesn't make sense. You're missing something that you're doing in the legs that you're not doing in the arms.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those things is what is important.
So, because I noticed this with the way you kind of teach when we were training more together, is that because I was trying to think of a lot of like the techniques that I specifically learned from you, but I know there are some, but it's more concepts and more things like that. And is that sort of how your dad taught as well, or like his master?
It's a little bit how Master Armando, he used to follow the grace system for self-defense. And something that Master Armando always said, self-defense is the basics against a newbie. Yeah?
Yeah.
If you put self-defense against someone that knows self-defense, this becomes a jiu-jitsu match. Yeah? Doesn't matter. The same concepts that you have in a self-defense, you're gonna apply in jiu-jitsu. And that's why I still teach in self-defense, most for memory for Master Armando, because it's something that fulfilled me through the...
to pass it on.
And it's jiu-jitsu, you know what I mean? I have to show people what's jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
But everything that you learn in self-defense, you relate it to a jiu-jitsu fight. Maybe you're gonna use 2 things at the same time, instead one, you know what I mean? And that's how you become a specialist. You have more attacks at once. But the idea to capitalize mistakes is still the same, okay? I know he is the guy, that's right.
Yeah.
I can try to pull,
Yeah.
but if I just switch the angle, and that's all. This is self-defense, okay? So if you hold my sleeve, can you see how much move I have? Then here, can you see I'm making tight myself? I have angle, I'm able to control better. Then, you know what I mean? Everything that you learn on self-defense, you can kind of spice it up and make it harder and harder. And that's what I said. The basics and the concepts are the letters, the syllables, maybe the phrase, but you have your style. You know what I mean? You talk the way you talk. Despite I learned a lot of English from you from the time we trained together. Not too sure if it was the best English. But you know what I mean? Like it's a little bit of a personality through that.
Yeah.
And then I had a little bit, of course, this is the same with position. You know what I mean? It's most likely your professor show the positions that he likes. But for me as a professor, I see I'm missing something on my mission as a professor, which is fulfill everyone's gap.
Yeah.
If I'm just throwing what I'm good at, of course that's good. Maybe they become good at. but you're missing something new that you could feed to someone, and then later on this one could feed you back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Let's say someone has just good guard pass, right? And I'm a good guard player, let's say. So if I keep helping him to improve his guard pass, I will become a guard player, a good guard player. You know what I mean? And that's the sense where the basics, I can say is more important than actually positions, because you have concepts, the application of the concepts become position, right? It's the same thing as the tree. The first thing when you walk through, you see a position, you see a tree.
Yeah.
You start to look at the position of the tree, you see barks, or you see grips.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You see roots, you see how the angle of your knee bends or stretch. You bend your knee or you bend in your hips. You know what I mean? And those things make you understand everything until you be able to see the whole again.
So is there a balance between teaching them actual specific techniques and details and concepts, or like what?
I think the first is trying to show people Jiu-Jitsu is related to nothing you've done in your life. In 4 years you get a university degree.
Yeah.
It took 4 years to get my university degree. It took me 10 years to get a black belt. And it was not even the start. You know what I mean? And that's why people stop as a blue belt. 2 years as a white, 2 years as a blue, 4 years. Man, I know enough. Of course I know enough. I go 4 years to the uni and I know enough to work. You know what I mean? So I think that's the first struggle to people. They struggle to learn. They want to learn in 1 month. And maybe they were good doing anything else, but Jiu-Jitsu is different than anything else you've done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you can relate footy to, you can play soccer later. Do you call soccer?
Yeah.
Football. Football. You know what I mean? Because they are kind of related to, you know what I mean? SM judo used to relate it to Jiu-Jitsu, yeah? And now Jiu-Jitsu is not related to nothing, because we got to a process where Jiu-Jitsu itself is a martial art, especially after judo trying to break apart from the ground, the newaza, and Jiu-Jitsu end up going to America, end up going to foreign countries. We have more intelligent people studying Jiu-Jitsu, and that's true. We have more people worldwide with different language, you know what I mean? So different ways to approach a technique.
Yeah, different thinking process.
For example, as I said, the choke and strangle. There was a bad translation to English, but there's a lot of things that's way easier for me to say in English than in Portuguese, for example. You know what I mean? Like hip escape. You know what I mean? Like saída de quadril. You know what I mean? Like you have to. It's a hips escape. Saída de quadril, you have back, forward. You know what I mean? Like which one? Hip escape forward, hip escape backwards. I mean, the translations can be tricky. So one good thing, the Americans like to give names to everything. So it's much easier to know a position through the name nowadays. We had triangle. Now you have reverse triangle, it's a triangle. You know what I mean? That doesn't matter what you want to put it after that, it's still a triangle. Yeah. But it's easier to teach if I name things. Yeah. And when Jiu-Jitsu spread around, people start to give more names for things. Yeah. Maybe not in a good sense, because sometimes I have the idea that I invent something, that I name that my name, which is really unlikely you invent something that has been there since ever. As I said, you have 2 arms, 2 legs. Yeah. It's really unlikely you invent something. Probably someone done before, you just don't know. You know what I mean? But nowadays we name. Yeah. And once we name, it's easier to identify, it's easier to try to repeat, and it's easier to... So I think that was a good thing to Jiu-Jitsu, but at the same point, we learn in positions, not the concepts again. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because I give you a name, let's say boogie choke. That's something that's really hyping now. A boogie choke is a choke. What's the concept of the choke? What are we talking about? Yeah? So how many ways you have to do that? Right? Yeah. So why don't we call choke? Or guard pass. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. At first to students, because I think that's what confuse people. I keep, this is a blah 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 whatever. You know what I mean? Yeah. Man, you just need to know hip escape. Yeah. Armbar. Yeah. Not a reversing, cutting, whipper, snipper, armbar. You know what I mean? Just armbar, bro. Armbar.
Yeah.
Open guard, easy. Make it easy at first.
Yeah.
It's natural the student want to, especially if internet nowadays, it's there. You know what I mean? Like, and that's another reason why the instructor should be the teacher how to read and write, because you're gonna face something later on. You know what I mean? In the internet, that you should be able to look to yourself and decide if it's a good or not.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're gonna have no criteria. You just try to bring everything to you.
Yeah.
You don't become a specialist on anything. You don't understand either. You just want to do it.
Yeah. So how much of like what you feel you're teaching here is more related to self-defense and the foundations and that of jiu-jitsu, and then how much is more related to like competition? And
I think the biggest thing that we can name jiu-jitsu, and the big difference between jiu-jitsu to other grappling fights is because we always look after the person that we're fighting with, right? Jiu-jitsu, I don't want to punish you. I want to put you in a situation when you realize you have no escape and you give up. And that's the beauty of jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean? I put yourself in a position where you give up. You know what I mean? I don't punch you until you're knocked out and then you wake up, you know what I mean, don't know where you are, you be fierce. You know what I mean? It's different. Man. If I put yourself in a situation and man, you be convinced you don't have anything. You feel, you know, you've been manhandled before. I mean, everyone has been manhandled before. You can't do much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's the beauty of jiu-jitsu. So the self-defense at start, that was the intention, right? It's not because you come to fight me that I have to fight you back. I'll capitalize the mistakes and neutralize you and make yourself understand that it's not a good idea to fight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's the same thing with the sport jiu-jitsu. So I think if as long you can relate it to that, you have to be there to look after the person you fight with. Will be all right. I think that's what IBJJF try to do in a sense, try to preserve the athletes. But I still see, like, if you get a jiu-jitsu specialist against anyone in the street, I'll put my money on the jiu-jitsu specialist. Oh, but he's a foot locker. I still put my money on the guy. You know what I mean? Because he faced more situations fight related to anyone else.
Yeah.
So it's not just the fight that you do, but how many you face this situation. Yeah. So I think that's it. You know what I mean, like, once again, try to bring the concepts of jiu-jitsu. Look after the partner, yeah, control, and capitalize mistakes. You don't force anything. You know what I mean? You play around. Master Armando used to say that to me. You do whatever the persons want to do, not the way he wants to do. If he wants to go left, you go left, but I'll take your right arm. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, because we're here to play around. I mean, and that's the idea of jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
I mean, the aggressor is the person who got the punch.
Yeah.
I mean, if I punch you, I will be the one who's gonna get the punch. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I remember you telling me one time, because I watched you in a competition and you were winning submissions to me, and then it was the final. And a guy went to put a footlock, and then you just footlock him and tap him. And I filmed it, and you said, "Oh, my dad's not going to be happy with this one." But why?
Because it was chip win.
Yeah. So he wouldn't like that.
I think now he's a way more open mind.
Okay.
Because as I said, man, jiu-jitsu is evolving. You know what I mean? I still don't like much the boot scooper game. I have to be honest. I don't see much jiu-jitsu on that.
Yeah.
When especially if you see foot lockers, you don't see control to anyone. We see a lot of attacks from coming for both both of the athletes, which is good for if you understand jiu-jitsu to watch. But in a sense of jiu-jitsu concept, which is control someone 100% to the point that person doesn't move and you're able to capitalize.
Yeah.
I think footlock misses a little bit of this. I understand people say, why you ignore 1% of it?
Oh, I don't know, 40%.
Yeah, of the human body, I agree. But how much jiu-jitsu concept you have in a footlocks? Should have all, yeah? if one day someone's able to apply the footlock, man, perfect, you see. And you have a lot of specialists doing that really well. They control the person in the sense that they can move and you just step.
Yeah.
I find that beautiful. But the scramble itself, I find a little bit, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's missing a bit of jiu-jitsu concept. I mean, not that I don't like, again, the footlock game. I just don't like the lack of concepts and control and dominance. And it's literally, and Master Armando used to use the word subjugate. We think to, it's a bad thing, but you can subjugate in a good way, you know what I mean? In a gentle way. You know what I mean? You just put your will up to someone's will in a gentle way because he committed a mistake or you'll be able to control more, whatever. But I think that's once again, the goal of Jiu-Jitsu. Control someone to a point that you force him to give up. He realized he gave up.
So what would your advice be to someone that's like going to compete for the first time?
Good question. Win is important, but not to any cost. So if you're gonna hurt yourself or if you're gonna hurt someone, it doesn't work. Come next time sharper and make sure you control the situation 100%. So be ready to control the situation.
That's a good one.
Protect yourself all the time.
What about someone that's like just starting jiu-jitsu? What would your advice be to that person?
Same.
Yeah.
Watch for injuries because that's what takes people. Probably, I would say 50% of the people that show up end up hurting something because they go rough. Yeah, or you know, small digits injuries or maybe knees. People come from a not good background, sport related. I mean, like maybe sometimes they don't have a sport background at all, or maybe did 20 years ago. So I think actually that's the biggest step to get a blue belt is learning how to go through injuries, how to get over and how not to get. You know, because I think that's when you understand your body and your limits. I mean, like how flexible you are. You know what I mean? Like you want to pull a triangle, but is your groin good enough or flexible enough to pull a triangle?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like be aware of that things. And I think that's the biggest tip and listen to your coach. I remember when I think it was a blue belt, I turned to my dad and I had 100% sure I couldn't be better than I was at the time. You know what I mean? I had this man, I was 100% sure I couldn't improve anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I have been training since my 8 years old, you know what I mean? I was a blue belt with 15 already. And I said, that's no way I get better. And then I turned to my dad and said, Dad, don't you see? Don't you see? I will never be good. Yeah. And he just laughed and said, wait. Yeah. And then I remember when I got my purple belt and I started to tap everybody. Like I was 18 years old, you know, young, strong. And I started to tap people and say, man, now I'm on my top. Yeah. I'm 100% as good as it gets. Man, I cannot get better than that, man. Yeah. And then I got my brown and said, no, now, just before black belt, I think I'm good. Yeah. And man, and it was literally that same feeling every year. Yeah. You know what I mean? I can be better than I am now. You know what I mean? I think, man, I have been doing so much work. That's no way I can improve that. And man, it's macro improvements that you only see if you're able to bring consciousness to your move. You know what I mean? Like, it's literally one day you'll be pulling arm bars since ever, and one day you realize the only difference your arm bar has is your elbow a little bit inside it. I mean, and that's the difference that make you. And from that elbow will start to bring to your triangles. You start to bring to your guard pass. Yeah. And that's how you develop. So if the development at the start it's huge, be aware it will be minimal with time. Yeah. But that doesn't mean you stop.
Yeah, it's kind of like there's a thing where it's like the phases of learning. It's like when you're a beginner, everything's new, so you're making so much progress on everything because everything is progress, you know. But it's like then when you get to phase 2, it's kind of like it gets a bit less because there's you're kind of more refining.
And this is even physiologically wise. You know what I mean, more trained you are, harder to get trained. I mean, as fit as you are, it's harder to get even fitter. So it's just people understand that, and that's why Jiu-Jitsu is beautiful, man. Because everything you learn in Jiu-Jitsu, you bring to life.
Yeah.
I mean, like the struggle that you have in a plateau in Jiu-Jitsu, I doubt you don't have the same thing at work. You know what I mean, like
Yeah.
or school. If you start young, you know what I mean, like I'm not learning anything, and then end of the year you succeed.
Yeah.
You always do, man.
Yeah.
You always do.
There's always, yeah. Tell me your favorite memory of like your dad's gym training, and like, do you have like a favorite memory of that?
Yes, I do, man. When I was young, I was actually pretty energetic, and there was something that I used to love. They used to tie my legs, and we had a big rope. So they tied my legs, tied my body, and tied me up to hang. And man, that was just, that was nice. I used to love it. I think it was like 6, 7, really? Just pushing people until someone tied me up. Say, no, don't tie me up. And then just to hang me there.
Yeah.
It was just nice to swing.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's a better space to a kid grow than a padded room.
Yeah.
I mean, you can roll, you can hit the wall and it's all right.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. So I think be there is the best memory I have.
Yeah. Do you miss it?
A lot.
Yeah.
I think what I miss the most is being with my family.
Yeah.
And I say family, it's weird because the love people care to me, it's different than here because I know people for such short time. When people in Brazil know me since, man, for more than 30 years, yeah, de pequenininho. So I miss that, you know what I mean? People, and you know how Brazilians are a bit warmer, so even here we hug every time we roll, but in Brazil it's just something that happens. So I have old fellas that I have such great respect that I treat as a part of my family, you know what I mean? I hug, I kiss, and I definitely miss that.
Yeah. When did you start training Jiu-Jitsu with Ian? Like, was it kind of something that when you first got together you started training straight away?
Oh, no, because he was my boyfriend back then and he was going to be my professor. And I thought it could come like, we could end up in a great area. So it took like 7 months for me to start practicing with him. I just wanted to make sure that it wouldn't become a problem. So it was, it's a hard situation. It was in September 2020. That's when I started,
Cool. And what was that like, sort of, had you done Jiu-Jitsu before in Brazil or?
No, I have. I've never pictured myself doing Jiu-Jitsu. And he was trying to convince me. And then I went to Mac one day. So it was his birthday, I think. And then there was a lot of girls. And then I felt that, maybe I think I can do it. I don't think it's going to be that aggressive because I always thought that Jiu-Jitsu would be super aggressive, you know? But yeah, it wasn't. And it was really good. Yeah.
So at what time did you like stop doing it because you're Ian's partner and start doing it because you love Jiu-Jitsu? Like, was it like straight away or was it?
No, in the beginning, definitely, like he was the one pushing me.
Yeah.
Especially because in the beginning, it's so hard. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know any techniques. When you start rolling, it's horrible. You don't know where to start. And then you just keep looking at the person and be like, can you please teach me? And everybody submits you. I remember in my first 3 months, I cried. I don't know, maybe like 3 or 4 times. Because like it was girls, they were like almost the same size that I was, and then they were submitting me. And it's a horrible feeling when somebody submit you and you feel like you really couldn't do anything to stop. Because when you're rolling and then you have some experience, it's good. Like you actually laugh because you'd be like, I should be aware of that. I should do that better. But when you don't know anything, you feel awful. So in the first 3 months, it was terrible. And then I remember that I started getting a little bit. And the first time that you do a move, that you feel like, I did something. You feel great. It doesn't matter if someone submits you in the end. You'd be like, I'm learning. And then I think it was around like 6 months when I first felt that I was learning. And from then on, I felt like, no, I want to be on the mat, I want to learn. And sometimes even with him, I'll be like, okay, so what are you going to teach this week? I really want to know.
Yeah.
And sometimes I get home and I want to show him things, but he's very like, you're my student, so Jiu-Jitsu, it's only on the mat.
Yeah.
So everyone thinks that we train at home, but we don't.
Yeah.
Really.
That's cool. What is it about Ian that makes him, like, I mean, I live with him, I was learning Jiu-Jitsu from him, training with him, and like I have this like image of Ian, but I'm curious to know from like your perspective, what makes him such a good teacher and such a good like human being, but what is it?
He has the biggest heart. He's such a good person. I'm gonna get emotional. He's such a good person, like truly, and he really wants to see everyone succeed. So Jiu-Jitsu for him, it's a way of life, it's a philosophy, but it's definitely like a way that can save people. It can save us from ourselves, and it can help us go through this weirdest and craziest journey that is life. It helps so much, and I think he knows that, and he wants to make everyone feel like this. It's like a tool that will help you, succeed in life.
Yeah.
And definitely his heart and his willingness to see everyone evolving and feeling more confident, and for sure.
Yeah, I remember when I first met Ian was when I was training at Mach 1, and it was like, because he's like this big, tall, tattoos guy, and was driving a Jeep with no roof at the time, usually no shirt on, and he'll like pull up to the gym. But I noticed from probably like the first day or two that when he arrived at the gym, it doesn't matter if those people are on the jiu-jitsu mats, they just have to be in the gym, but he will go and say hello and shake hands with every single person in the whole gym, every single person, like wouldn't miss one person. And then I started to get to know him, a little bit better, and it's something that I've picked up from him, like I do that even when I'm going to any gym now, but I kind of saw that in him and learned that from him. But what are some of the other things that Ian does that sort of like, they're kind of those qualities that we know, like what are some of those other things that he does? And
well, he has a lot of discipline in his way of living, so especially in Jiu-Jitsu. And I don't know if that's what you're asking, but I'm gonna try to go there. So those things that you said, like it's like before he presenting himself as a person, he's a Jiu-Jitsu professor, and the Jiu-Jitsu philosophy kind of drives him. So he'll be this guy. Like in Jiu-Jitsu, we are all equal in a way. Like he was saying, he is a black belt, but he still allows him to learn from the white belt. Because it's the same thing, like you read a book one time, the second time that you read is going to feel different. If you discuss with someone, you're going to see another point of view. And he's this guy that even though he's a black belt, and he does that for almost like all his life, he never like drops the humbleness. I don't know if that's a word, inside of him. So he's gone, like the Jiu-Jitsu drives him. So he'll be this person that will talk to everyone. He will help everyone. Like if we're walking in the street and he sees someone, I don't know, opening like the car hood, he'll be like, oh, maybe this person has a problem. Maybe I'm gonna go help, And he's really this person. We go to this cafe where the girls are from Japan, and he always like say thank you in Japanese to them. So it's like these small details, that I think. I don't know if that what you're asking.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, that's it. And like we are surfing, he'll get in the water, he'll talk to people in the water. Like it's normal, we do that. But he will make sure that this happen. Like, you're not gonna go far away to just say hi to someone. You're gonna wait. You're gonna talk to that person soon. No, he will go there. He'll make sure he said hi.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Has he managed to be able to clean his room since you guys got together?
Yeah, no, that's like.
She cleaned her room.
It's such a crazy thing because like he has his thoughts so organized in a way, you know, his values is like this and this and that is that, and he's very like, you know, black and white in so many areas.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the material world, it's such a mess. Like, he really doesn't care. It's everything everywhere. Like, you know that movie Everything Everywhere All at Once? Yeah, that's it. You're gonna get into our house, there are aquarium things and like, you know, little, like, I don't know how to say, but there are so many things. And the jiu-jitsu stuff, jiu-jitsu gear, you're gonna find it everywhere. Like, he has 10 geese. If I allow him to like do whatever he wants, he's not gonna find the right pants. They're never gonna match. And they'll be like, where's my belt? Where's my belt? You never know.
So
because everything is everywhere.
So when he finishes the session and he ties his gi the way that he ties his gi, it doesn't stay like that.
No, but like, I don't know, maybe during the week, a few geese are going to end up in the car, a few geese are going to end up in the living room, a few in the laundry room, a few in our bedroom, and yeah.
So,
it's, yeah.
So that hasn't changed?
No, not at all. I don't think it will, yeah.
So how, like, proud of you and how, like, much have you enjoyed seeing Ian like start his own gym, start to grow his own community, and because I know that was like a goal of his for a long time, and to actually see it happening now, like how does that?
It was amazing. I think for everyone, it's fantastic when you see someone living a dream, something that they really wanted. When they achieve that, it's such a big thing. And yeah, from the day that I met him, he always said that he wanted to open his gym and, you know, like keep going with the Constrictor, but not being exactly the same as his father. Because I think that's a good thing. You kind of have to
Put
go
your
to your own, your own path.
Unique fingerprints, everything.
Not forgetting where you come from, but you know, so he really wanted that, and it happened really fast, but it was amazing because when it happened, like, okay, I'm opening the gym, I was like, oh my God, okay. So it was like in 1 week, we kind of did everything, and he was so happy. And I think that's everything. Because, you know, when he first started, it's really hard, and he had his hard days, but he never allowed himself to give up on anything. So he was always pushing himself forward. And it was really nice to see all of that. Like, he really, really, really wanted. And now he's so happy. He loves coming to the gym. He gets home, he's like, oh, yeah, hey baby, blah, blah, blah. He's happy all the time. Like, he's living his dream. Yeah. And I don't think there's nothing better than that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's fantastic, for sure.
So do you have any goals for yourself with your jiu-jitsu, and tell us about it?
Jiu-jitsu, it's a life journey, right? I'm just a baby. I'm learning how to walk now. Like, I just became a blue belt. So, I don't know, there's so much to come. And then, I don't know, I saw someone saying that the hardest belt for you to get is the white, because it's for you to start. And then once you start this journey, if you really go into the philosophy and if you really love Jiu-Jitsu, it's not going to be something you're going to give up. Maybe you're going to have phases where you're not going to train every day, and all others that you're going to train 2 times a day. But it's not something that is going to get out of my life. And I think maybe like one day I'm going to get another belt, and maybe one day I'm going to get a black belt, but it's more like what Jiu-Jitsu has been teaching me and how much it has been proving to me that I was wrong about myself. Like, it gives you much more confidence.
Would you like to teach one day?
I do.
Yeah?
She's great.
Yeah, I think for me to actually feel that I know enough jiu-jitsu to teach someone, I don't think this day will come. I really don't see. But yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure. Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the best way to control an arm is trying to hold more joints as I can, okay? This is a good way, but I'm wasting two hands to control one joint. That's why I'll rather use my wrist to control your elbow and my elbow to control your wrist. So what I'm doing here is one arm, I'm controlling more than one joint, okay? I need to break a posture because it would be nice if your head's close to my legs. That's why I pull you down, all right? The second element that's gonna avoid your arm to escape is this lead. So the only way you have to is posture up. That's why my second leg is gonna come here and make sure you're not gonna go up. Sometimes by mistake, I open this leg too much and you pull the arm out, okay? This is the side you want to pass. So this is the side I'm gonna frame and I'm gonna bring my shield. So I'm gonna switch my limbs to the side I'm weak. This. Can you see my shin playing here? If you keep trying to come, you actually is gonna give him a good angle to control again your arm. Okay? This is strap. Therefore, I can choose if I tap this one or the one. If eventually you pull out again and you try to pass again, I'm still able to do the same thing over and over. Nice guys, so I think I'm going to show arm triangle, and as we were talking, some positions we can reverse engineer and try to bring the concept. So if you go to the classic triangle, we can get pretty much everything that we need, okay? So the first thing I want you is a bite on your neck, yeah? The second element is my shin has to be flat. I mean, this is not good, this is not good either. This is how I want you, okay? Shin flat. And the third element is your shoulder be able to compress the other side. That's why a good triangle is when I'm able to hide your shoulder. Beleza? So if you go down here, can I get behind control? Nice. So my forearm will be the shin, okay? And my elbow will be the bite. So the first thing I want you is make sure the space here is fulfilled. Yes, okay. And the second thing is my forearm is flat. Am I choking you? Yes. Am I choking you? Not really, okay? So this is the element. And the third element is when I'm able to bring your shoulders close to your neck, yeah? I can do that with my head, but it's way easier if I just keep walking, okay? And the big secret here is, because I want to strangle, not choke, I want to try to reach with more efficiency the artery, okay? We have a bunch of muscles here that are hiding the artery, okay? When the artery comes from the heart, he split to the clavicle and go up. So here, down here is actually where you have the big caliber. So when I'm trying to choke, I'm not trying to choke your neck, I'm trying to choke your chest. Let me show you here. So this would be choking your neck, and this will be choking your chest. You see the difference?
Yeah.
This one I can end up losing, and can you see how I'm just hurting you in the jaw? I don't want that. What I want you is just bring this elbow here, down. That's the reason when I do that, the choke goes well, because this elbow here is pressuring the artery. Yeah? If eventually you defend, let's say you here and then you turn a little bit to nice. This is the only element you can hold, alright? This one is my arm, that's right? You control this one, so we don't want that to happen. So open your shoulder. Yes, okay, so now you free that. If I don't let you escape your arm, you have to stretch your arm down in order to open. That's right? I want to fulfill the gap. And now I go for Ezekiel variation. I'm gonna hold my fist tight and swing over. And that's the point. Most of the time we try to push, which is not nice. So how I'm gonna try to choke is just stretching the bottom wrist. So the wrist is going around your neck. When I stretch, this compress, that's right? So what I'm doing here is just making sure everything's locked. I'm not choking with this hand. I'm just sustaining. And the bottom one that's choked. If I need, I could use a little bit of both, but mostly the motorcycle here, all right? So, boom, boom. So full position. I start here. I get the bite. My head is too far. I always look where I want to go, Jacob. If I keep looking to your legs, I'm going to your legs, okay? If I look to your head, I go to your head. Mount. Oops, I'm too high now. Go down. And now what I'm choking, chest. Escape. Come with the Ezekiel. Boom, and just motorcycle. Good?
That's good.